Well, it's the news that has taken the gaming world by storm, and that is everything going on with Cyberpunk 2077. It had been evident to everybody that played the game or just saw the footage of the game on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It was absolutely broken, and now Sony has acted. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delisted from the PlayStation Store, launches a refunds website, and I believe Microsoft just extended their refund policy for the game. I believe on PC you can get a refund even if you exceed like the 2-hour play window on Steam, or if you're on GOG, you can just ask for a refund. This is crazy. At the level of a game Cyberpunk 2077 is, I've never seen something like this. Look, we'll get broken games every now and again, especially, you know, early access titles and things of that nature. However, a game with this level of anticipation, a game that did see, you know, a couple delays, a game that has sold incredibly well, to be a broken mess on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, to the point of refunds being issued, to the point of Sony removing the game from the PlayStation Store. This is something unprecedented, but holy hell, we gotta talk about Cyberpunk 2077. As you guys know, if you're playing the game on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the base consoles, it is an absolute train wreck. Everybody is pretty much in unified agreement that this game should not have been released on those platforms. Even if it was promoted for a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One release, CDPR and whoever was in charge needed to come out and just be like, okay, we've made the decision, we cannot get this game running at a justifiable frame rate on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and we have to cancel the game. Or you delay the game indefinitely, let the game be released on PC, and everybody would be on their merry way. But no, after a few delays, I feel like the pressure was there. CDPR released the game on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One when they shouldn't have, and yeah, the game was broken. The game dips to 14 frames per second on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Guys, I'm talking about me not being able to stand games at 30 FPS on the PlayStation 5 now. I'm talking about me wanting every game to be at 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 5. Cyberpunk 2077 dipped down to 14 frames per second on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. At that point, that is unplayable. You know, not everybody's going to be the biggest frame rate person in the world. I like 60 FPS. I really need 60 FPS, but at the very least, you need to have a playable frame rate, and when it gets to the point of 14 frames per second, I'm sorry, at that point, it is just not playable. On top of that, Cyberpunk 2077, while expected, it does have a litany of bugs. It does have a lot of things that I feel like were perceived to be in the game that are now not in the game, and it's not really the RPG I think a lot of people were expecting. It being a disappointing game is one thing. However, in the case of Cyberpunk 2077, especially in the case on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the base consoles, it is a broken game. At the very least, if you release a game, it has to work. It can be a disappointing game, but it has to work. In Cyberpunk 2077 on those aforementioned platforms, I'm sorry, the game does not work. Therefore, it needs to be pulled. Now, this is something that is unprecedented, not only because, yes, a broken game dipping to 14 frames per second, that's crazy. However, look at what Cyberpunk 2077 is. It's from a developer that people herald as the best developer in the world, and look, I love The Witcher 3. I'll sing The Witcher 3's praises all day long, but I'm not so far deep into CDPR's fan base that I'll be like, okay, everything with Cyberpunk 2077 is good. I'm sorry, it's just not justifiable. And I was excited for the game, even though I had been vocal about my anticipation for the game really being quelled a little bit after all those delays. But I bought the game, playing it on a relatively high-end PC, and I'm having fun with it. Is it my game of the year? Absolutely not. Is it in my top 5 games of the year? No, it's not even at that level. It might not even be in my top 10, top 15. It's just one of those games that I'm going to play, and then afterwards, I'm going to be like, okay, it was an okay game. Time to move on to the next one. As I mentioned before, to me, 6.5, 7 out of 10, that's probably where I would peg it at, but I haven't finished the game, so let me, play through the game, let me do everything, and then I can give you guys a more valid opinion. But so far, I thought it's been a serviceable game. I just think expectations were at such a high level, and then the disparity of what we got in the game versus what the expectations were, what the promises were, that gap is one of the biggest I think I've ever seen in a video game. It might be the biggest, even though Cyberpunk 2077 objectively, in my opinion, I guess I can't say objectively then, but subjectively, in my opinion, I don't think it's a terrible game on PC, on a good PC that is too. A lot of people don't have the best PC in the world, and it's not very good on there either. My boy played it on a GTX 1060, I want to say. And he said it's been a serviceable experience on a 1060, and 1060 is a little bit older. Not maxed out or anything like that, not with ray tracing, but you get the idea. Also, PlayStation 5 does brute force the frame rate up to, I believe, 60 FPS. I haven't played the PS5 version yet. I plan on going to a buddy's house and seeing the PS5 version in action, but I've been playing the PC version. But obviously, the clips are everywhere. And other things like cops spawning, yeah, that's just a little bit goofy. There's some really goofy elements of Cyberpunk 2077. I talked about it previously, but in like the first hour or two of the game, I literally had Jackie walk right through a car, which was really just a jarring bug, and I didn't even know how that happened. But yeah, I've noticed some pretty hilarious bugs in the game, but bugs in an open world game, I mean, that's kind of to be expected. Witcher 3 had bugs at launch as well. It's a much more refined experience now, but I think Witcher 3 is classes ahead of Cyberpunk 2077. And I played that game at launch too, so I can recall how that game was at launch versus this game. Again, it's the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions, man. You really can't defend CDPR for this. And for people saying, yo, just get a better console, well, first of all, PlayStation 5s are out of stock everywhere, buddy. So I don't know what you want me to say about that. And at the end of the day, the game was promoted to be released on the PlayStation 4, and then they ended up releasing the game on the PlayStation 4. It could be one thing if they did promote it on the PlayStation 4 to be released, but then they were just like, you know, we gotta cancel the game. People would be upset, but it would have been lesser of a backlash than it is now. And right now, it's just really bad. You could have delayed the game indefinitely on those platforms. You could have said, hey, we're gonna do a PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 cross-release at the same time in early 2021, mid-2021, whatever the case may be. But in this instance, it's just a train wreck, and this is going to be a blemish on CDPR for a long time. The narrative with CDPR has drastically shifted. We'll see if they can turn it around. Like, you know, CDPR prior to the release of Cyberpunk, after the release of Witcher 3 and its respective DLC and expansions, they were heralded as one of the elite studios in all of gaming, and now they are really under fire. We could look at everything that just happened with GOG and Devotion as well. Man, that's what it is in gaming. The narrative can shift on you really quickly, and with CDPR, you can make a strong argument that it's rightfully so. And Cyberpunk 2077, you really can't defend the launch of that game on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's terrible. At the very least, hopefully you guys can get a refund. Maybe you guys are playing it on next-gen platforms and you're enjoying the game a little bit more. As I said, I don't have personal experience playing the game on the PlayStation 4 or even the PlayStation 5 on PC. It's a decent game. Like, it's not a game that I find offensive, but at the same time, I wasn't putting all my eggs into the Cyberpunk basket. I've been talking about it over and over again. You know, my anticipation for the game had been quelled a little bit, and at the end of the day, it is a video game. I wasn't expecting this. I mean, it seems like it's a talking point a lot of people are talking about, but you know, I wasn't expecting this to revive a dead relationship. I wasn't expecting this to, you know, cure Rona or anything like that. It was just a video game at the end of the day. But yeah, I'll let you guys sound off in the comment section down below. Definitely interested in your opinions. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the game in general, just because I do think a lot of people have varying opinions. You can go on Steam, you can go on Metacritic. There are people giving the game 10 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, and then there are people that are absolutely ridiculing the game, and I feel like justifiably on either. And I don't really know how you can say the game's a 9 or 10 out of 10. I mean, this game has legitimate problems that, you know, I can't give it. I don't think it's a better game than Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, but again, at the end of the day, that is just a subjective opinion. So sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.